This page is the cover of Nintendo Power, featuring Pokemon Snap as the highlighted game. The cover showcases various Pokemon like Dodrio, Meowth, Squirtle, Pikachu, and Eevee amidst tall grass. It also teases in-depth strategies for games like Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, A Bug's Life, and Star Wars Episode 1, Racer. Additionally, there's mention of Conker's Pocket Tales and Ore-type DX, plus a contest related to Pokemon Snap. Lastly, there is a question about Kobe playing left field. The next page is the table of contents for Volume 121, June 1999. The strategy section includes Pokemon Snap, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, A Bug's Life, Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, Rally Edition 99, Monaco Grand Prix, Conker's Pocket Tales, Rare Type, and All-Star Baseball 2000. Special features mention a contest to join the Power Panel, and first looks at WWF Attitude and World Driver Championship, as well as a behind-the-scenes look at Left Field Productions. The Every Issue section covers Player's Pulse, Classified Information, Counselor's Corner, Player's Poll Contest, PokeCenter, Arena, Now Playing, Pack Watch, Next Issue, and the Game List. The next page showcases Player's Pulse, featuring reader submissions about a potential Zelda movie casting. A reader suggests Richard Simmons for Ganondorf, sparking humorous reactions. Super Smash Bros. Redux characters are also discussed, with TJ Combo, Tip-Top Turtle, Solar Jetman, and Cranky Kong among those suggested for a Rare sanctioned sequel. Readers propose actors for Zelda characters: Matt Damon as Link, Bill Murray as Mido, Val Kilmer as Ganondorf, and Leonardo DiCaprio as Link, Patrick Stewart as Ganondorf, George Wendt as King Zora, and James Earl Jones as the voice of the Great Deku Tree. Letters address the failures of video game movies like Super Mario Bros., Street Fighter, and Wing Commander, and express anticipation for Star Wars, Episode 1 games, and Mario figures. This page features the power charts, highlighting top games on 64 and Game Boy. The N64's top 3 are The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye 007, and Mario Party. The Game Boy's top spot is Pokemon, followed by The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, and James Bond 007. A reader, Wes McKinney, praises GoldenEye and Mario Kart 64, emphasizing gameplay over graphics. Another reader, Ryan Miranda, inquires about visiting E3. The page also includes a Whistlin' Winner segment about Matthew Ball, who won a snowboard, and the game 1080 Degrees Snowboarding. The page has the Nintendo Power Player's Pulse address for submissions, and a phone directory with numbers for Nintendo Power subscriptions, a game counselor, and the Power Line for tips and information covering a wide range of Nintendo games. It also includes Jessica McKay's comic and artwork from Andrew Starbuck and Megan Hauser. The next page showcases Pokemon Snap, inviting players to explore Pokemon Island and capture souvenir photos. It highlights the Blockbuster video store tie-in, where players can print stickers from their in-game photos using a special machine. It also introduces the concept of a personalized Pokemon photo safari guided by Professor Oak, where players are tasked with photographing wildlife. The page details the gallery feature, where players can showcase their best shots with sections for Best Action Shot, Funniest Scene, Biggest Bully, and Crankiest Pokemon. This page delves further into Pokemon Snap, offering tips for capturing the best photos. It describes the first level, A Day at the Beach, and suggests capturing multiple Pokemon in one shot for extra points. Professor Oak advises looking out for Lapras offshore. The second level, Tunnel Vision, involves photographing Electrica-type Pokemon in a power plant, and tips include quickly photographing Zubat and using Pokemon food to trigger Electrode's self-destructions. Other advice includes getting Pikachu to do different things using Pokemon food and snapping suspicious purple glows. A section called Name That Pokemon challenges players to identify specific Pokemon from less-than perfect photos. This page continues the Pokemon Snap Guide, providing advice for the hot, cross Pokemon, and keep your hands in the boat levels. Professor Oak suggests using pester balls in craters to find rare fire-type Pokemon in the volcano, and tossing food to get Rapidash to rear up on its hind legs. He also suggests knocking Psyduck out of the water for a better photo. The page gives further tips on how to photograph Charmander, Vulpix, Slowpoke, Vileplume, and Poliwag. The Name That Pokemon segment focuses on identifying Pokemon from extreme close-up images. This page continues the Pokemon Snap Guide, focusing on the cave and valley levels. It gives tips for photographing Grimer, Weepinbell, Bulbasaur, Jynx, Mankey, Magikarp, Dratini, and Graveler, alongside some Pokemon posing as familiar scenery, and suggests using Pester Balls and Foos strategically to get the best shots. A Name That Pokemon section challenges readers to identify a Pokemon based on a close-up image of its blonde hair. The next page advertises the Nintendo 64 game, Tonic Trouble. The ad shows the game's premise of Ed causing chows with toxic goo, turning tomatoes into rioting monsters, and carrots into biters. The ad encourages players to help Ed fix his mistakes across 12 worlds filled with puzzles, killer vegetables, and dungeons. This page is an advert for the Nintendo 64 game, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest. The advert highlights the game's features and modes, including Exhibition Game, Season Mode, World Series, and Home Run Derby. It also mentions the game's high-resolution graphics, Create a Player option, and easy-to-play gameplay. The game allows players to choose teams, ballparks, and game options. There are also some screenshots showcasing the in-game graphics and various gameplay aspects. The next page details the development decisions of Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, including insights from Angel Studios on what makes a great baseball video game. It showcases two batting styles: Arcade, where players move the cursor to hit the ball, and Classic, which simplifies the swing timing. The game features a SportsWire option for the latest season news, statistics, scores, and schedules. Players can select from 30 stadiums, and the pitch graphics option allows variations in visuals. There's also a Create a Player option and the ability to manage lineups and bullpen. Development team members highlight their favorite aspects, such as ease of play, improved graphics, and customization. Quotes from team members, including Charles Eubanks and Steve Reed, emphasize the game's blend of fun and realism, as well as the appeal of the widescreen mode. This page gives strategy tips for Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, covering various gameplay elements. Fielding tips include cutting off the ball before it rolls to the wall, timing jumps or dives, charging bunts, and positioning the cutoff guy. Hitting and running tactics suggest taking the lead with pinch hitters/runners, and mastering the double steal. Hitting advice includes taking a few pitches and using the sacrifice fly. Pitching strategies focus on lefties and the pickoff, and mixing up the pitches. There's also a tip about taking advantage of errors. The next page features tips and strategies for Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, delving into pitching and hitting techniques. Programmers like Paul Skibitsky, Charles Eubanks, Jeremy Jessup, and Kianosh Ken Kamdar share insights on mixing pitches, understanding batters, using power, breaking pitches, hitting home runs, adding spin, anticipating pitches, and handling righties and lefties. The page also includes an advertisement for Bust-A-Move 99, showcasing gameplay and characters. This page offers a guide to A Bug's Life on the N64, detailing how to navigate the game's mechanics and power-ups. It features a map key explaining the functions of various items like grains, health boosts, invincibility power-ups, and different kinds of berries: red, blue, green, purple, and gold, each with unique effects. The guide also covers tokens and their respective plants, such as mushrooms, propeller plants, dandelions, and cannon plants, explaining how to unlock them and their uses. The page provides advice on seed usage, suggesting that players collect color tokens to grow specific plants and berry upgrades. It also teases bonus challenges involving collecting letters of Fleck's name and eliminating enemies. The next page continues the guide for A Bug's Life on the Nintendo 64, with maps and strategies for various levels. The stages covered include Anthill, Tunnels, Council Chamber, Cliffside, Riverbed Canyon, Bird Nest, City Entrance, and City Square. Each section provides tips on navigating the level, using power-ups, and defeating enemies like grasshoppers and a hungry bird. The guide also points out specific tasks, such as rescuing Princess Atata, collecting tokens, and finding hidden areas for special rewards. The next page details levels in A Bug's Life for the Nintendo 64. It starts with the Bug Bar, advising players to keep flick high to avoid objects. The Clover Forest level involves collecting parts for a mechanical bird. The Tree level is about the Blueberry Scouts collection quest and using dandelions and propeller seeds. Finally, Final Four describes the last 4 levels where Flick fights grasshoppers and rescues Princess Atita. There are associated screenshots for each level. The page also features a blurb for Rally Edition 99 for the Nintendo 64. This page presents cheat codes and tips for several 64 games. For Mario Party, it explains how to easily earn coins by using 4 controllers in the minigame stadium and setting the game to autoplay. Rampage 2, Universal Tour, offers passwords to unlock hidden characters like Big Al, George, Lizzie, Mayukas, and Ralph. NHL Breakaway 99 provides button combinations to access cheat menus and random team selection. Load Runner 3D reveals a code to unlock all elevators in the World Hub. Finally, Top Gear Overdrive gives codes activated by highlighting options in the main menu in a specific order, starting with Championship. For unlockable content, the next page provides a collection of cheat codes and tips for various 64 games. For Micro Machines, there are macro codes to transform cars into objects and enable debug mode, with options like Instant Win, Camera Angles, Zoom, and Autopilot. Battle Tanks has a self-destruct feature in multiplayer mode, triggered by pressing all 4 C buttons, and can cause a light show to shine at both wreckage sites. Harvest Body includes codes activated by naming the character I Cheat, affecting the game in various ways. Additionally, Mischief Makers has a sound check feature accessible by holding specific buttons on the title screen. There are cheats for Body Harvest that include Artifacts, Bad, Dwarf, Fat Legs, Game Over, Health, Sack, and Surreal. The page also provides a Nintendo Power classified information address for submitting tips and tricks. This page is advertising the Power Panel, inviting readers to share their thoughts and opinions about Nintendo Power for a chance to work with the magazine and influence its future. Readers can win a seat on the Power Panel, meet the staff, and get a year's subscription. To enter, readers are asked to write a review of one of the featured games, which include Pokemon Snap, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, Star Wars, Episode N Racer, and Conker's Pocket Tales, and send it along with their name, age, game systems owned, favorite game types, number of games rented/bought, players' guides used, internet access, names of video game publications they read, and length of time reading Nintendo Power. The page includes Power Panel rules and contact information. This page is all about Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, on the Nintendo 64. The page features an overview of the game, focusing on the Pod Racer upgrade systems. There's information on different upgrade categories like traction, turning, acceleration, top speed, air brake, cooling, and repair. It talks about Watto's shop, where you can buy new parts and visit the junkyard for cheaper alternatives. The pit droids and how they help with repairs between races are also featured. The article gives advice on winning Trugguts and the importance of the pit droids as well. The next page features Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, highlighting different tracks in the amateur pod racing circuit. It outlines strategies for the Bunte Training Course, Mongaza Speedway, and Beneto's Wild Ride, giving advice on navigating each course. There's a breakdown of the winnings breakdown, detailing the fair, skilled, and winner-takes-all setups, which determine how Trugguts are distributed. Finally, the page offers tips on turbo starts and how to make the most of thrust mode. This page continues the Star Wars Episode 1, Racer Track Guide, covering Aquilaris Classic, Malastare 100, and Spice Mine Run. It provides maps and gameplay tips for each course. Additionally, it reveals how to unlock Racer's Clegg Holdfast, Fudsang, and Mars Guo by winning first place on specific tracks. This page covers Star Wars Episode 1, Racer Advanced Strategies, including where to repair, thrust mode readiness, controlled crashing, and playing your favorite racer. It details the semi-pro pod racing circuit, focusing on the Sunken City course, with tips for specific sections. Also mentioned is unlocking the Bullseye Navier Pod Racer by winning first place. On the right, an advertisement for Starshot, Space Circus Fever, features a character and promotes its unique characters and planets, 3D worlds, and time travel aspect. This page delves into WWF Attitude for the Nintendo 64, showcasing customization options where players can modify wrestlers' outfits, moves, and even faces, with nods to wrestlers like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. The game features hardcore matches and new tournaments like Lumberjack and Nuclear War and Career Mode, where gamers can assemble pay-per-view series and edit stadium aesthetics. The page highlights the game's attitude and 4-player matches. The next page focuses on WWF Attitude, pointing out the absence of Paul White, Big Show. It showcases playable characters like Triple H, Godfather, Goldust, Val Venis, D'Lo Brown, New Age Outlaws, Al Snow, Jerry Lawler, Paul Bearer, Sable, Kina, and The Brood in screenshots. The page includes an on-the-mat comparison table with WCW Nitro, WCW/NWO Revenge, and WWF Warzone, comparing release dates, publishers, developers, ratings, and features like number of players and customization options. It highlights Attitude's extensive wrestler roster, customizable characters and rings, and weapon availability. Finally, the bottom line section praises the game's authentic elements, including commentary, sound, and customizable features. Screenshots show in-game action, and the page notes stat tracking to determine bragging rights after matches. This page showcases Rally Edition 99 for the Nintendo 64. The game is described as having international-style rally racing, focusing on the simulation of rally racing instead of an arcade experience. Various modes are highlighted, including Viva Rally, L'Arcade, Les Trials, Ghosts in the Machine, World Championship, Expert Championship, Rally, and Vrally. There is an emphasis on real rally cars and car data, featuring vehicles like the Subaru Impreza, Toyota Corolla, Ford Escort, and Mitsubishi Lancer. The page notes car customization options related to tires, engine, power, and suspension. The next page delves into rally driving techniques within Rally Edition 99. It covers different types of turns like easy, medium, and hard turns, providing instructions for each. It also covers brake and gas, power slides, and the use of the e-brake. The page further explains how to stay in control, addressing fishtailing and spinning. Finally, it discusses how weather conditions like rain, fog, and snow, and road conditions like asphalt, gravel, and dusty gravel affect driving, offering tips on how to adjust the driving strategy to handle each situation. This page features a comparison of gameplay in Rally Edition 99 under different time-of-day conditions, sunset, midday, and night, and how they affect visibility and driving strategy. It also highlights the two-player versus mode and the view replay feature with its multiple camera angles. A review comment mentions wild tapers in Indonesia. Additionally, the page has an ad for Lode Runner 3D, mentioning 5 unique game worlds, 136 challenging levels, over 18 interactive devices, and 20 bonus levels. This page delves into the Game World Driver Championship, presenting 10 reasons why World Driver threatens civilization. It teases the immersive graphics, gripping gameplay, and depth surpassing even Gran Turismo, highlighting how the game can become intensely captivating for players, potentially leading to issues like sleep deprivation. The page describes features like car customization, team selection, and a 2-player mode, with options for head-to-head racing and AI-controlled vehicles. It also emphasizes the realistic car physics and the AI of computer opponents, mentioning their mean tactics. Ultimately, the reviewer jokes that the only cure for the game's addictive nature is winning. This page continues the discussion about World Driver Championship with a series of warnings. It highlights the game's special effects, its numerous challenging tracks including Rome, Kyoto, and Zurich, its car customization options, and the replay mode. The reviewer jokes about the game's addictive qualities, suggesting it might consume players' lives. The graphics and gameplay are praised for drawing players in, and the cars and soundtrack create an immersive experience. The next page is an advertisement for Superman, the new Superman Adventures, for Nintendo 64 and Game Boy. It's set up like a Daily Planet newspaper article with the headline, Superman in a New Dimension. The article talks about Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen disappearing, and Superman's search for them, with quotes from Inspector McGee Sawyer. The ad highlights the game's features, all of Superman's powers, the ability to use objects as weapons, battles against villains like Metallo and Darkseid, 14 levels, and up to 4-player multiplayer. There's also a mention of an exclusive collector's edition comic book available with early purchase. This page covers Monaco Grand Prix for the Nintendo 64, emphasizing its high-speed racing simulation. It boasts realistic elements like car customization, weather control, and flag rules. The page details various gameplay modes including single race, championship, duel, and time attack. It also highlights the ability to fine-tune your car's setup, adjusting tires, suspension, steering, gearbox, wings, body height, fuel tank, and brakes. The next page features circuit maps for Monaco Grand Prix on the Nintendo 64. It displays optimal speed and gear recommendations for each corner of various tracks, including Australia, Brazil, Great Britain, Austria, Argentina, San Marino, Spain, Germany, Hungary, Belgium, Monaco, Canada, France, Italy, Luxembourg, and Japan. The page also provides lap time records and suggested gear setups for each circuit, and notes on the track surfaces and driving conditions. This page showcases Conker's Pocket Tales for the Game Boy Color. It introduces the game's storyline, where Conker must rescue his friend Barry from the evil acorn. The page details various items Conker can use, such as the slingshot, mask, and pickaxe. It also highlights common enemies like flytraps, blobs, crows, and mushrooms, and offers tips on how to defeat them. Screenshots illustrate the game's puzzle-solving and minigame elements, emphasizing the adventure formula and the need to solve puzzles to save the day. The next page presents a map and gameplay tips for Conker's Pocket Tales on the Game Boy Color. The map showcases different areas, like the forest, spooky woods, and southern lake, along with notable locations such as the windmill, the Aztec temple, and Conker's house. Tips are given for defeating specific enemies like HSSTA, Mean the Snake, and two vulture characters, known as Soul and Luxo. This page delves into the Crow Keep area of Conker's Pocket Tales on the Game Boy Color, with a map showcasing its layout, including areas to enter and exit, and other locations labeled A, B, C, and D. Gameplay tips are provided on how to navigate through the challenges, like defeating Waldorf the Wizard in multiple encounters, dealing with floor spikes, uncovering diggable dirt patches, and solving the final showdown with Waldorf. Also included are tips for the Mako Island minigames and the Claw Swamp area. The next page features the Aztec Temple level from Conker's Pocket Tales on Game Boy Color, with a detailed map showing the entrance and exit points, as well as locations marked with A and B that hold presents. There's advice for getting through the Aztec Temple's challenges, such as navigating pools with flying blades and dodging rolling boulders in an Indiana Jones-esque scenario. Siegfried's Folly, a stone golem, is highlighted as a powerful ally of the evil acorn. Additionally, it teases the final showdown with the evil acorn after defeating Siegfried, and a full-page advert for the Game Boy Color game Duke Nukem. This page previews Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside 2 and Excitebike 64, highlighting Left Field Productions' work. It mentions how the team, including Rao Meyer, Chris Lamb, Jeff Godfrey, Phil Watts, Russ Truelove, Noah Stein, Mike Nauer, and Scott Bush, is dedicated to creating a great basketball game. There are also comments on the improved graphics and animation for the Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal character models. The page details the team's development process, mentioning their collaborative approach and even their shared love for soccer. This page previews Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside for Game Boy Color, noting Noah Stein's work on the AI. It describes Chris Lamb's music and sound design for Left Field's games. The page features a section on motion capture with Kobe Bryant, describing his involvement and signature dunks. The game uses 3-on-3 gameplay, and a game link cable is supported for human competition with different strategies. Also mentioned are Roger Hardy, James Maxwell, Robert Hemphill, John Brandwood, and Dave Ashley, who were part of the team. This page focuses on Excitebike 64, with Left Field developing the game. It highlights the team members like Ben Stragnell, Mike Lamb, Sam Baker, John Evans, Alan Hayburn, Alan Fernandez, James Maxwell, Richie Romero, and George Simmons. The game emphasizes realistic motocross physics and high-speed action. The game includes 12 Savage tracks, 6 outdoor rallies, and 6 stadium stunt tracks, and is set to run at 30 frames per second, with 32 mid-air tricks, a 4-person multiplayer mode, and a user-friendly track editor. A quote by Ben Stragnell mentions inverse kinematics for realistic rider motion. There's information on the Rumble Pack, camera options for stunts, and Desert Jumps mode. The bottom line section mentions Courtside 2 and a friendly competition between the Excitebike 64 and Courtside 2 teams. The next page is an advert for Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, promoting it with the slogan, "Always freeze your leftovers, Sarge." It shows green and tan plastic Army Men figures frozen in ice in an ice cube tray among frozen food, with a few screenshots of the game and the 3Do website. The game promises real combat plastic men and advertises on PlayStation and Nintendo 64. This page is an overview of the game R-Type DX. It showcases the game's blend of classic arcade shooting with colorful graphics on the Game Boy Color. The page details the three included R-Type versions: R-Type, R-Type 2, and R-Type DX, a combination of both. A bonus drawing program by programmer D'Souza is mentioned. The R-90 Starship is highlighted, along with accessories like a metallic force ball. Gameplay elements like enemies, level design, weapon upgrades such as the reflecting laser and oscillator, and the final boss, the gladiator, are also featured. This page provides a walkthrough for various levels of R-Type DX on the Game Boy Color. Level 2 describes navigating organic tunnels while avoiding enemies like the Snakes Alive boss and utilizing the Fire Chain upgrade. Level 3 focuses on intercepting the Battleship Crusader, detailing strategies for its exhaust ports and purple pod weakness. Level 4 covers the Baldo Gardens and the lethal Baldos enemies, emphasizing the use of the force ball and navigational tactics. Level 5 warns of big-headed Byudo minions and ground troops, mentioning the trash bin compactor. Level 6 is the final level of the original Fire Type, a crash course with the brain of the Baidu Empire. Level 7 introduces R-Type 2 and the Ruins, advising players to use charged lasers against pod-like ships and watch out for bubbly pods. The page also highlights upgrades, such as the upgraded blaster and bomb upgrade, and the closing-in strategy for the Zabtom encounter. The next page features level guides and strategies for R-Type DX. Level 8 involves navigating flooded passages with dive-bombing enemies and twisted tadpoles. Level 9 focuses on the battleship Mammoth. Level 10 details the challenges of the rust-covered walls and mining vehicles. Level 11 takes place in the Baidu homeworld, with obstacles. The final showdown involves battling the twin brains of the Baidu Empire. Additionally, the page highlights the Harrier 2001 game and its arsenal, emphasizing heavy metal action and graphically rich missions. It mentions the Harrier AV-8B's capabilities. This page is a counselor's corner, providing tips and tricks for two N64 games, Beetle Adventure Racing and Battle Tanks. For Beetle Adventure Racing, it answers player questions about practicing point blocks and reaching a cavern ledge in Mount Mayhem. Screenshots accompany the advice, showing specific spots on the tracks. For Battle Tanks, it covers how to fire off a weapons burst and how to drive the Goliath tank. It also addresses why the player might not be able to see anyone on their radar and how to resolve that. Screenshots illustrate tank gameplay and radar functionality. This page features tips and tricks for Star Wars, Rogue Squadron on the N64, and Wario Land 2 on the Game Boy Color. For Star Wars Rogue Squadron, it gives advice on getting the gold medal in the prisons of Kessel, how to find advanced blaster cannons, and how to defeat Moff Seerdon. Screenshots show gameplay examples with callouts and strategic tips. For Wario Land 2, it provides instructions on reaching the 4th Duck in Syrup Castle Story 3 and defeating the thief in the final battle, with screenshots to guide the player. There's a queue and a section with fast facts and phone numbers for Counselor's Corner, covering Zelda, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye 007, and Link's Awakening DX. These questions cover the yellow arrow in Zelda, accessing levels in GoldenEye multiplayer, and the 4th floor of Level 7 in Link's Awakening DX. The next page is an advertisement for a Pokemon Snap Photo Safari contest. The grand prize is a trip to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Second prize includes a Pikachu camera and Pokemon Snap for the 64, while the third prize is a Nintendo Power t-shirt. To enter, readers are instructed to fill out the card and send it in. The ad features several Pokemon characters and mentions that the reader's vote counts. This page features the Poke Center section, focusing on the Pokemon games. A section called Pikachu pops up, previews Pokemon Yellow, highlighting that Pikachu will follow the player on the map, and it features screenshots from the game. Another section titled Bag Your Pokemon talks about the first wave of Beanbag Pokemon, which include Charizard, Meowth, Eevee, Snorlax, Jigglypuff, Poliwhirl, Squirtle, and Pikachu, being released by Hasbro. The PokeChat section answers reader questions about Pokemon gameplay and strategies, such as using Repel, Pokemon Stadium on the N64, and getting past the ghost in Pokemon Tower. There's also a Pokemon gallery showcasing fan art of Pokemon like Mew and other drawings that have been sent in. This page is an advertisement for All-Star Baseball 2000 on the Game Boy Color. It features gameplay screenshots and highlights several modes, including Home Run Derby, Exhibition, Season, and Playoffs. The ad emphasizes team management features, lineup adjustments, and bullpen management. The game allows for detailed play control and includes MLB licensed rosters. The next page offers gameplay strategies for All-Star Baseball 2000 on the Game Boy Color. It covers both offensive and defensive techniques. Offensively, it details batting strategies such as regular swings, power swings, and bunts, along with button combinations. Defensively, it explains pitching mechanics, including different pitch types like fastball, curveball, and screwball. It also provides tips on base running, pickoff attempts, diving catches, and intentional walks, accompanied by screenshots illustrating these maneuvers. This page, titled Arena, features a series of gaming challenges for readers to participate in, including setting records in Star Wars, Episode iRacer, and Bust-A-Move 99. It also presents a game equations quiz with rebus-style puzzles involving games and characters. There is a NP scoreboard displaying high scores for 1080-degree snowboarding and Rampage World Tour. A Try This section challenges players to duplicate a glitch in Zelda. There is also a section, Do You Have What It Takes, to submit challenge ideas for the magazine. The next page showcases reviews for 364 games. Star Wars, Episode iRacer receives an overall rating of 8.0, praised for its graphics and sound, but criticized for its play control and lack of innovation. Pokemon Snap gets an 8.7, lauded for its innovative gameplay and replay value. Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest scores a 7.7, appreciated for its realistic animation and sound. This page features reviews of 4 games. Monaco Grand Prix for the N64 gets a 7.1 overall, praised for its graphics and play control, but criticized for sound and satisfaction. Rally Edition 99 for the N64 receives a 5.2 overall, noted for realistic rally racing but marred by grainy graphics. A Bug's Life for the N64 scores a 6.2 overall. Or-Type DX for Game Boy Color gets a 7.6, celebrated for its conversion and play control. This page reviews 3 games for the Game Boy Color. Conker's Pocket Tales gets a 7.5 overall, praised for its graphics and charming gameplay, but noted that younger players might find it frustrating. WWF Attitude receives a 6.3 overall, commended for its graphics but criticized for play control and sound, with comments noting the lack of a 2-player mode. All-Star Baseball 2000 scores a 6.6 overall, appreciated for its graphics and features, but with sound noted as not exceptional. The page also highlights the evaluators and their preferred gaming categories, including action, adventures, puzzles, fighting, RPGs, and sports. The weighting of the power meter categories, game design, and satisfaction each at 25%. Play control and graphics each at 20%, and sound at 10%. Finally, the page displays the ESRB age ratings from everyone to adults only. The next page features the games Super Mario Adventure and Kirby 64. It mentions the surprise appearance of video footage at E3 and provides a write-up on the Super Mario Adventure game, referring to its role-playing elements, the variety of settings, and the interactions Mario has with the environment. There are a few screenshots showing gameplay. The Kirby 64 segment discusses the game turning Dreamland into a 3D world and including familiar settings and characters, accompanied by screenshots. The page also mentions Disney Interactive and Nintendo's partnership to create new 64 and Game Boy Color games featuring Mickey Mouse, with Rare developing some of the titles, and discusses games geared toward girls, such as Beauty and the Beast and Alice in Wonderland. This page offers a preview of upcoming games, starting with NFL Quarterback Club 2000 by Acclaim, highlighting the create a player and team options with detailed customization. The review mentions graphic and AI improvements. The page also includes previews for Shadow Man, Revolt, and NBA Jam 2000, noting the enhanced create a player mode in NBA Jam 2000 and improved graphics. Lastly, there's a preview for Konami's Hybrid Heaven, describing it as a mix of thriller, action, and RPG elements, with impressive cinematic scenes. A section titled A Rare Look showcases screenshots from Rare's upcoming titles, Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark, and DK64, expressing confidence that they will be masterpieces. This page, titled Pack Peaks, dives into upcoming 64 games. Turok: Rage Wars is highlighted with a detailed description of its multiplayer arena combat, new characters, and weapons. The page covers Battlezone 64 by Crave Entertainment, featuring a new gaming mode, and a detailed look at Lego Racer, focusing on the car customization feature. A section titled 64 in the Works talks about Daikatana, a time-traveling game by John Romero, and Wild Waters, a whitewater kayaking game. There is also a mention of Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling, and a Jeff Gordon racing game, and Ready to Rumble. The GBC network is also mentioned with Croc, Mega Man 5, and Deer Hunter. The page includes a release forecast for summer and fall 1999, listing upcoming games for both seasons. Finally, it lists future games in development like Armorines, Asteroid 64, Battletanks 2, Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling. The next page is an advertisement for Star Wars Episode 1, Racer for the Nintendo 64. It showcases a limited edition bundle including the console, an advanced controller, and the game for $149.95. It also advertises the game separately for $59.99. There's a section dedicated to the official Nintendo Player's Guide, highlighting features like rendered maps, detailed charts, breakdowns of upgrades, shortcuts, and tournament tips. It also provides a phone number and mentions availability at Nintendo retailers. The ad concludes by stating the game is now playing in the kids department at Sears. This page is a mixed bag, kicking off with a coming next issue teaser for World Driver Championship on the Nintendo 64. There's also a mention of Command & Conquer getting a new mode on the N64. Hybrid Heaven is also teased, and next month Konami will tackle the more darker, dice game genres. The page also features an E3 Revealed section. The main focus is an advertisement for Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, advertising a free t-shirt from Funcoolland if you bought the game before May 31, 1999.